let me just say, appreciate frugality. That's not saying you gotta not spend anything you make, but just appreciate it. And whenever you want to exercise that little muscle of frugality, where you're like, hey, I don't need a designer this, I don't need a designer that, I don't need to spend a big ticket on this meal, this steak that I can make at home. Well, I paid $50 for it at the grocery store. At the steakhouse. I can just get it at the grocery store, make it for about $10. Yada yada yada. Uh, look out for yourself, and always consider the future because it's coming.
Welcome back to another episode of Inspired by You podcast. My name is Kristen, and today I'm joined by Daniel Curtis Lee, actor, rapper, writer, producer, linguist, and director. Um, he got his start in the movie Friday After Next, starring as Bad Boy Number 2. But he's best known for his role as Simon Nelson Kick, aka Cookie, on Ned's Declassified School Survival Guide. And if you guys are anything like me, Ned's Declassified pretty much raised you back in the day. It's funny too, because coincidentally, the first episode aired on like my 9th birthday. And so it's funny because I remember like being excited about the show coming out. Like when they showed like the previews for it, I was like, oh, this show is gonna be fire. Like,
yeah, wait, when's are you in September?
Yeah, September 12th.
That's my mom's birthday.
Oh wow.
Yeah, because I was like, wait a minute, it came out on my mom's
No,
birthday.
that's crazy. Oh wow.
Yeah.
Man, definitely.
Yeah,
So yeah, it's
yeah.
been I think 15 years since the last new episode aired.
Had to have been, yeah, probably
Man, that's crazy. Did
a
you guys
decade, more than a decade, man.
man, did you guys stay in touch all these years? Like you and the
Oh
other
yeah.
castmates from the show?
Oh yeah. Dev, man, Dev is my boy, like just lifelong, bro. Like we made a lot of history. Same with Lindsay, like you know what I'm saying. They're all like family to me. And the majority of the people on the show, it was really a family. When you're talking about just spending like 3 years in the same like four walls as these people, and mainly four walls like in the classroom, because a lot of people don't know when you're filming a TV show, you're not just on set having fun, learn some lines, stand in front of the camera. You end up having to go to school. So the majority of my time was spent with Devin and Lindsay in a classroom with our one teacher and whatever like tutors they would bring in. So I mean, we watched each other grow up, just like people at home got a chance to watch us on the screen growing up. Yeah, we were right there with each other through all the same things that family members would experience together. So yeah, I still definitely keep in touch with them. And we got a little podcast that we're working on now. Yeah, the Ned's Declassified School Survival Guide podcast. It's coming out on the 15th of February, which is this month. So y'all make sure y'all check it out. Tune in.
I'm Devin Werkheiser.
Hey there, I'm Lindsay Shaw.
And I'm Daniel Curtis Lee.
And you might know us as Ned Mosen Cookie from Ned's Declassified School Survival.
We're topping the charts in iTunes. Like,
oh wow.
Just after we dropped the trailer, man, the fans showed a whole lot of support, came out for us. So we're topping those charts, and it's really, really exciting. Can't wait to relive a lot of these old moments doing the rewatches with the fans, man.
That's definitely, it's so perfect too, because I've always thought like, man, imagine if they like rebooted this show and it was like for adult life, and then I think it was more recently when Ned's Declassified came on Netflix to where people could watch like the first couple seasons. And so like when I saw that on there, I was like, oh, this is my show. Like, and so I started like rewatching the episodes and showing my son the episodes, and I was like, man, they should remake this for like adult life. And you guys, I mean, pretty much are. And what can we expect from the podcast?
Man, I mean, really just friends reuniting. And I'm not just talking about us three as friends, but also you guys. We're reuniting with the fans. And then also bringing on special guests and things like that. So you get to see just high profile players that we know our audience would like to see. Some from the show, some not. And also we're offering advice, the same thing that we used to kind of do on the show. Ned's Declassified was always about sharing information with kids, and I think that really resonated with the people that got a chance to watch our show, because it felt like, we were taking them seriously. A lot of parents probably were telling their kids, hey, whatever little problems you got, that don't matter. You ain't paying these bills. Your problems ain't no real problems. But on our show, we treated them like what they were trying to survive every day in middle school was serious. So yeah, we just gonna be extending things that we know about our own adult lives, and then just some of it's going to devolve into just random humor and just ridiculousness. But for the most part, we're trying to give a couple little tips on how to stay inspired and just enjoy life.
Yeah, definitely. So can we expect, I guess, the tip at the end of every episode, like you kind of got in the show?
Yeah, you know the format. Yeah, so we're giving like tips at the end of every episode based off of what we talked about during the episode. And each episode is geared towards a certain episode from our show. So we'll talk about things that we covered in the actual show and then go off on our own little tangents, just have fun, man. We're treating it like we're just sitting around chatting with family and friends. And it's way more adult, of course, than it was for us back in the day. So be on the lookout for that. You might have to cover your ears sometimes. But, yeah.
I mean, I think it's perfect because honestly, like everybody that, watched the show, growing up is probably around our age, like late 20s, early 30s. So, like literally I think you guys are going to hit the perfect target market for it. And I love that you guys kind of adapted it to one of the like newest, fastest growing like forms of media right now, which is podcasting. How did you guys decide on like this is the method that you guys wanted to do? Because obviously you guys could have came up with a YouTube show or all kinds of like different random things. How did you guys decide on a podcast?
Now we will still reach out to just the majority of platforms like YouTube. We're still going to service the YouTube crowd because they're out there. But the podcast, man, Devin listens to a lot of podcasts. Devin, he plays Ned on the show. He listens to a lot of podcasts. I've never been too much a podcast guy, but I will watch those like video snippets on like Instagram, TikTok, when people will break down stuff like Joe Rogan or whoever it might be. And he was like, "Yo, bro, you got to check out these different podcasts and blah 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 blah." So I'm like, "Okay, I'll tap into some of them." And I really enjoyed the content, and it comes in handy when you're just driving down the road and you're like, "Okay, I know that I associate with this particular group of people doing a podcast. Let me listen to them, just kind of have it, in the, just marinating in the airwaves while I'm driving." So I love podcasting in that way. But our main reason for choosing the podcast route was because Nickelodeon made us jump through so many hoops trying to get the project. Like Devin and I actually made a kind of adult survival guide, Devin Dan go to college type thing, and we had the perfect pitch. We brought back the old producer Scott Fellows to come on in and everything. We had to sit down with Nick, Netflix, but we weren't able to pull it together because there was so much red tape. The show's been like sold to different parties and yada yada yada. They just didn't pick up the show, man. And we put a lot of work into that show and a lot of work into the pitch. We wrote it ourselves, everything, got a quick pilot directed of it.
That's so cool, though. I can't believe they wouldn't pick up
we had
on
a blast. Yeah, it's just tough, man, when the numbers don't make sense to them or they have the crowd that they're already, focused on. It just is what it is. Like our show was like a cult classic. We did some great numbers, but we weren't like Dan Snyder's Bakery, who Nickelodeon just loved kind of servicing, like for all that. Zoe 101, iCarly, he had done all those shows. Our producer was a little bit lesser known. So I think that played a role in it. But doesn't matter because now we have this content and we can fully brand it, without having to send money off to these other, entities and things like that. So it's all around the better move, and we really get to kind of service our fans in the way that we want to without some shadowy figure kind of telling us what we have to say and wanting a piece of the pie, So I'm enjoying it.
No, definitely. That makes sense. You guys kind of, I guess, recreated the logo in a sense. Did you guys have to jump through hoops for that as well, or do they not have as much
yeah, I mean,
over that?
there's laws like, where you can kind of do your own like parody, make sure that it's a different name and things like that. So it's similar, but just different enough to get past all that.
Yeah, bypass all that. Makes sense. Okay, so what's your best, I guess, adult life survival tip right now?
Ooh, survival tip right now, man. And it's a tough one. It's a tough one. I want to just say save, but you got to save and invest. It's just something that's going to it's just going to come up and it's not going to go anywhere. Also, let me change it. Let me just say appreciate frugality. That's not saying you gotta not spend anything you make, but just appreciate it. And whenever you want to exercise that little muscle of frugality, where you're like, hey, I don't need a designer this, I don't need a designer that, I don't need to spend a big ticket on this meal, this steak that I can make at home. Well, I paid $50 for it at the grocery store. At the steakhouse. I can just get it at the grocery store, make it for about $10. Yada yada yada. Look out for yourself, and always consider the future, because it's coming. The future is always going to be on the way. And I know you want to make yourself happy in the now, but that future is waiting. So always, I guess, accommodate for that.
That's a really
my
good one. I
survival.
like that.
Hey.
It's funny that you said like appreciate frugality. I like to think of myself as like sort of a minimalist. I don't know if you know anything about minimalism. It's kind of like
Tad bit.
yeah, it's kind of like the idea, that like less is like a little bit more in a sense, or like having less isn't always like, it can be a choice and it's not always bad. And sometimes people use that as like a mechanism to be like really frugal. And it pays off for a lot of people.
Yeah.
So definitely
That's
appreciate
real.
it.
Facts. One of my uncles, Uncle Lawrence, he was like super into. I guess you could call it a little bit of minimalism, but he was like, yo, you can limit the amount of items you have. I forget what the number was. I don't know if it was like 20 items or something like that. It was something fairly small. He's like, yo, that's all you need. You don't need all this extra stuff in life. Keep an inventory of what you have and make sure that it is something that you are utilizing on a daily basis or a monthly basis. And I'm sure there were tiers and degrees. Probably like 20 of certain items and maybe a 100 of something, but keep an inventory of it. Like I have certain things where I'm like, why do I possess this? I don't even use this stuff. So yeah, being able to keep tabs on what you take on and call yourself owning and making sure that you're making the most of it. Or else maybe you don't need that item. It might be a distraction more so than bringing help.
Definitely. You've added some titles to your name since kind of the series finale. What have you been up to?
Oh man, yeah, a couple different hats. I've been wearing a couple different hats, man. So after the Ned show, I went back to school. I was still in high school at that time. So I finished up high school, went back to Mississippi, did all that. Then I had to come back because I filmed this pilot for a show called Zeke and Luther, which is like a skateboarding show on Disney. So I was like simultaneously on Nickelodeon and Disney, like, well, while the Nickelodeon show, while Nets Declassified was still airing, they had just dropped Zeke and Luther. So that second project, that was cool. Did 3 years on that show. It was awesome doing like skateboarding, some kind of extreme sports and stuff. And that was a dream come true for like a young, man or whatever. And I always loved skateboarding, so that was super cool. Playing the role of Kojo.
You're gonna realize I'm gonna win nationals this year.
Oh, we'll see about that, Kojo.
Like one of the bad boys who was an enemy of Zeke and Luther, the title characters. Yeah, so did that. And then a whole lot of music, man. I teamed up with this producer, Sean 2 Miles. You guys got to check out his stuff, man. So there's a studio called The Vault Studio downtown LA. Make sure you guys come through, patronize us. Yeah, we'll have you sounding like gold. I segued from doing more artistry, moved into writing for more of the artists. I became more of a freelancer for that because, in the industry, you can be an artist and that's all well and good, but, you got to really be about grinding it out, getting all your media and stuff like that. And I saw that there were a lot of obstacles going that route. Where I was paying out a lot of money to a lot of people. And so I was like, you know what? Maybe I need to go ahead and use what I've learned to help other artists out. So everything I found myself paying for, I'm like, Dan, you're going to learn how to do that. And then you can do that for yourself or for these artists that you guys are taking on. So yeah, I became like a freelancer, just doing production on a lot of different music projects, from songwriting to actually getting the videos done. And that's what really got me into directing. So put on that director hat, that producer hat, and really just started getting things done, assembling teams of people to pull off these, great projects, making sure I had a great director of photography there, making sure I had a great gaffer for the lighting and everything, grips on set to just make sure everything runs smoothly. hiring out some PAs, and it was really cool. I started an organization called Apex Vision, which went in kind of tandem with 2 Miles Ahead, the music label. And so yeah, did that for a good minute, and then chose to do the college thing. So I did the 4 years for my bachelor's, got it in linguistics, so the study of language and how it works, how the language faculty works in humans, and that was just awesome. I've always loved language and I've loved communicating with people, and I think that's why I gravitated towards music and lyricism, because I always had that lust to share what was in my head with other people, and then find out when it resonates, and just keep that feedback loop going. Yeah, that was awesome. I got a chance to travel abroad, did a study abroad out in Spain. Then a year later, went over to Berlin to do a study abroad. So it was really cool just checking out different cultures and just, man, really just throwing yourself in the fire and, immersing yourself in something so different than what you're used to. And I think it was great, great character building. Yeah, a lot of awesome experiences doing that. And then, hey, back out in LA, still doing acting when it makes sense, but more behind the camera, man. A lot of directing. We have a new artist, Khadijah, on 2 Miles Ahead, on 2 Miles Ahead label. She's killing it right now. She got a song with Blueface called Blue Racks out.
And you directed the
And
video, right?
I directed the video. Yeah. So Blue Racks featuring Blueface. Khadijah. Yeah, y'all gotta check that song out. It's a hit, man. And she got billboards all across all major cities. So yeah, marketing, branding, we're behind doing all of that too. So really just knowing how the industry works, like what makes it tick, and making sure that we're dotting our I's and crossing our T's. We still got a lot to incorporate into our organization, and I work with multiple organizations, but it feels good just finding that balance. Being that artist is cool, but really figuring out how to make stuff float, like really float, putting that energy, finding the resources to put behind a project, and really watching it go is just great. I love it.
Yeah, definitely. I think too, one of the important things, that was a lot to unpack, by the way. But
Oh yeah, I bet.
no, I mean, it's been a long time since we've seen you, so like you've been doing a lot, which that's awesome, and I'm happy for you. But I think one of the key things that you said too was like you realized all these services that you were paying for, and then you're like, you know what, I can learn to do that myself and do that for other artists that I'm helping or managing, or whatever your role is in that case. And man, that's such a key in like people's journey, is you got to learn to do some stuff yourself. Number one, to save money, but also just that way if you want something done right, you have to kind of do it yourself sometimes. Like, so
That's a fact. That's a fact.
and I feel like maybe you snuck in there that you were a ghostwriter. Like, I don't know if that's what you were like hinting at when you said you started writing for other artists. Like,
Oh yeah, for sure, man. Yeah, got a chance to work with some cool artists. But not even just that, just making great music happen, and sometimes saying, hey, taking the backseat on this one, letting someone else drive the vehicle. I build the car, you drive it. You know what I'm saying? We'll put you on the racetrack with it.
okay, Elon
So
Musk.
that's cool. Yeah, right. Trying to be like Elon Musk out here. Hey, there you go.
No, definitely. So we've seen you switch from actor to now director, like you said, and now you spending more time behind the camera rather than in front of it. What does that feel like? Like, how does that feel to kind of make that switch?
To make the switch to behind the camera, it's very freeing, and I say that because you don't have to sit next to a phone waiting for somebody to call and say, hey, you're perfect for this project that I dreamed up. It's like, okay, no, I can say, hey, I'm going to meticulously break down what I want this project to be, figure out the puzzle pieces, the main players that I need to incorporate them, and watch that thing come to life. And also have say in, hey, we're drifting a little bit away from the initial layout. Let's rein it back in. Like there's something great about that, especially when you've been an actor and been in certain projects where you're like, dang, I wish it would have gone this way, or I don't even like the way they finished up this edit. Now I can make sure that everything runs smoothly and in a manner that I feel okay with displaying. So there's a little bit more responsibility involved, but also the payoff is greater because it's your vision that is making it to the screen. So
No, definitely.
I enjoy it. I love it. Yeah.
I can see that. one thing I was gonna say too is like you said, like they can kind of decide the behind the scenes when, you know, you're not the one behind the scenes.
Mhm.
They canceled, I guess, Ned's Declassified after 3 seasons, right? What was
Like
that?
3 seasons.
Did you guys like have a heads up? Like, how was that like transition? Like, was it kind of like abrupt? Like, you know what, this show isn't really like doing it. And I feel like it still kept
Yeah.
airing after that. Like, I feel like I watched it like well into my,
Oh
you
yeah.
know, like teen years. So like, I'm not sure why they stopped making new episodes, but do you have any
I mean,
insight on
so,
that?
you know, it comes down to I mean, relationships on like a higher level, and then also just well, it's because it wasn't about the money, because Neds was bringing in a lot of money to Nickelodeon, but we just didn't have the same pool as these other packaged projects, like when we're talking about Dan Snyder's Bakery. I'm sorry, I don't know. Dan Snyder's Bakery. He just had been pumping out projects for Nickelodeon for years, like decades at that time, and you know he was their guy. So if he's like ready to pump out a new show, it's like, hey, you got to move this other stuff to the side. Sorry. So we were some of that other stuff. But I mean, three years, honestly, it ran its course. The show kind of ran its course. We made it on up to, you know, the height of middle school, getting ready to transition. So that show for kids in, you know, that school, you know, system, middle school, that was a defined project that reached completion in my mind. So I didn't even think it was a bad place to stop. And that Zeke and Luther project came up for me like right as I was finishing. As a matter of fact, what's the gentleman's name, man? Why is this happening? Fred Savage. Fred Savage was a director on our show. He also was what is the show? Good Lord. Fred Savage. He played, and this is my mom's favorite show. Oh
Oh
God.
no.
The Wonder Years. I don't know if
Mm.
you remember the show The Wonder Years, but he was like the main little cat on The Wonder Years. He was a director on our show, and he's the one who got me involved in that Disney show. So I already had another project to go to after Ned's finished. So it wasn't like some abrupt, oh no, what are we gonna do? Type thing on my end. And I mean, yeah, everybody kind of made some fair transitions. Like Devin, he went to a movie called like Shredder Man Rules, like right after. Lindsay, she's just been booking. She's been a booking machine for like like Pretty Little Liars. She did a couple other pretty big projects. So I mean, the show ran its course, in my opinion. I think is the way I'd answer that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, at least it ended, you know, well for you guys. It wasn't like I don't know if you've ever seen the show Girlfriends, where like they just
Oh
stopped
yeah,
mid-season
yeah,
and were just like, never mind. Like, I think the writers went
yeah,
on
yeah,
strike or something weird like that. But I feel like there's always
yeah.
more to the story behind it. But I guess when you put it that way, it does make a lot of sense as to why they would stop it there. And I guess the target market for the show wouldn't really be in high school, but I guess for me, it kind of felt a little, I think I'm like just a few years younger than you guys. So like when I started watching it, I was probably just going into middle school. And so I wasn't quite to high school when they
Oh,
stopped the show, you know?
14.
So it's like, I still
Yeah,
need
yeah,
help.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Oh no, yeah, and you know a lot of people do feel like that. So a lot of the fans were like, "Man, yo, that's messed up that you know you guys dropped this project. It was helping me out so much."
No,
And we're
definitely.
happy to have been a part of that. You know, helping people get through school.
Yeah,
So,
definitely. So Nickelodeon has had some iconic Black characters in cartoons and sitcoms over the years, from you to Keenan and Kel to Gerald from
oh
Hey
yeah,
Arnold, um,
yeah.
Chris from Zoe 101, Susie from
Uh,
Rugrats, Patty Mayonnaise, which I don't know if people know that she's Black or not, but she definitely
it's
is.
a, hey, she black. She was black to me. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Shoot, I don't even know. Skeeter from Doug might have been black to me.
Yeah, I
I
think
just
he was
gotta
Black
put
too.
it out there.
They was blue and
Uh-huh.
yellow,
Yeah,
but they was
represent.
black in our heads because they wasn't the same color as everybody else.
That part. Yeah, yeah. Representatives, man. It's all about the
Yeah.
representation.
Did you have a favorite, I guess, growing up?
Ooh, a favorite. What black
Yeah, like
actor
iconic
or
Black
not actor? But
Nickelodeon, you know, character or voice or
you know what? I mean, that's the type of like Keenan and Kel was huge. Who loves orange soda? Kel loves orange soda. Yeah, I mean, I was a big Keenan and Kel fan for sure.
I
Um,
think maybe all that kind of in a sense like really opened that door for probably a lot of people, honestly. That's the one that I think I would
yeah.
choose to. They had a lot
Yeah,
of
they
different
had to.
faces on there.
Oh yeah, they had to collab with Coolio and stuff like that. I really felt the representation on that show. And yeah, like it all kicked off with like all that.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
yeah, that's who I would go with. Cousin Skeeter was a cool one, but yeah, I'm gonna give it to Keenan and Kel for sure. I remember Keenan coming to the set. He filmed on the Ned's Declassified set. I think he had like just a small project that he was directing or something like that. But it was epic just meeting him because he was like an idol, you know, and I love the trajectory of his career and where he's taking it with like SNL and everything.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh yeah.
So I've always felt like I guess representation is kind of one of the like more important aspects in our journeys. And I realized that we're all kind of either personally inspired by somebody, like you see somebody and you're like, oh, look at them, like, you know, they look like me, I could do that. Or you don't, and then you're like, okay, well, I can be that inspiration for somebody else.
Yeah.
Was there someone or something kind of prominent like that in your journey?
Oh, that inspired me. I mean, yeah. I mean, we're all like, yeah. I think we're all like, you know, we're all just these empty vases or cups, and you know, we take a little bit of water from all of our influences. We're just some of our influences. So yeah. I mean, I'm blessed to have tried to take from a lot of people. A lot of that mainly was like my family members. So like just my father, awesome guy. I mean, I look up to him more than you know any other man I can really think of. Inspired by like, you know, shoot, the Obamas, you know what I mean? They've been great. But if we're talking actors, yeah, Jamie Foxx, man, that was a cat that I always admired. His delivery was just so cold, being able to switch out of the comedy to more serious roles when he took on Ray, like cold, man. And then also, you know, Will Smith, people, you know, whatever that whole, you know, things have been going on, whatever, he's an icon, man. He's an icon. And I admire those comedians who can also dive in, like you know, he did Ali, man. So yeah, I admire those type guys for sure, for sure.
No,
Yeah.
definitely. I can see the Jamie Foxx reference too now, because like the way that you acted in Ned's Declassified, like Cookie was very animated, and I feel like Jamie
Oh yeah.
Foxx is extremely animated in
One
his
of the greats, man.
no,
Yeah.
definitely. I think you paid tribute to John Witherspoon too for
Oh yeah, yeah,
maybe crediting him for kind of getting you your start in. I don't know if people
yeah.
realize that with you and Friday After Next, but
And my brother said if people will start fighting locks and jaws like that, you're supposed to do this to them.
you literally kicked somebody
That
in
was
the
me.
ass in the movie.
Yeah. Uncle Elroy, DC Curry. He was played by DC Curry. Kicked him in the balls. And I was working alongside another kid,
Cleo
Cleo
Thomas.
Thomas. Yeah, everybody knows him from Holes. A lot of other projects too, man. He's a great actor. But yeah, that was good times. I mean, that was my first real project. I had played like extra roles like back in Mississippi before my family moved out to LA. Like I was in little extra roles on projects that my brother was in, Nathaniel Lee Jr. He's done a lot of stuff and he's the reason our family moved out. But Bad Boy number two, you know, I had a number after my name on that one. Friday After Next. Ice Cube gave me my shot, man.
Yeah, no, that's
And
super cool.
I'm glad he did, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. I also before the this episode ends, I want to give you your flowers. I feel like your character in Ned's Declassified like personally inspired, quite a bit of people that I know, especially like young black boys growing up. Cookie was himself. He was, and like the way you portrayed him, like I feel like maybe bits of your personality probably really shine through there. Like, but he was definitely like supporting for the, I don't want to say weird black kid, like weird black dudes, but like what I'm like the
Yeah.
childish Gambinos of the world, like the
Hey,
like
I know, I agree. Yeah. They had awkward black girl, awkward black boy, but I mean, just encouraging that whole I mean, even just the technology, like it being cool to work on your education, really care
yeah,
about it, and also cool to not take yourself too seriously.
and wear
And I think
glasses.
you say, did I ever wear
No, I
glasses?
said and wear
You say, and to
glasses.
wear
Made it
glasses.
cool to wear
Yeah.
glasses.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, I'm rocking these glasses, and hey, this just me. This is what I got. You know, you have what you got, whatever. But yeah, I enjoyed it, especially encouraging the like STEM technology type stuff. It's cool to like science and math, and it's cool to express yourself when you like freaking out. You ain't gotta act like everything all right if it's not all right.
No,
So
literally. Yeah, definitely.
yeah, and I didn't have to take myself too seriously, and I hope that shined through to people watching the show. Because life is gonna throw some obstacles at you, and you're gonna have to be all stern about it. But when you get a chance to just be free flowing and just good, man, take those opportunities. Don't walk around mad all the time. No.
No, definitely. I was gonna say something else, but man, I just appreciate this interview, and I'm looking forward to the podcast, and I'm sure my listeners will be happy to tune in too, because we're right on your target market of people who grew up watching the show, and man, we're just, we're all inspiring somebody, so I think it'll be perfect to, get a few tips and life advice from you guys, and think back to
Oh
when
yeah.
times were simpler, and remember the show.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. The nostalgia, man. Yeah, it's all about that nostalgia because even if whatever tips we have aren't just like perfect cure-alls to whatever you're experiencing, just going back to that time, sharing those moments again where things were simpler, and you weren't bombarded with all of this adult life going on. Hopefully we can help bring that up, for all the fans. So I can't wait.
No, definitely, I agree. Anything else you want to say to the podcast, to the people?
Oh man, nah, y'all yeah, just keep your head on straight, follow your dreams. People gonna try to get you on their rat race in this life. Make sure you are tackling what you care about. Because it's not that serious. The only thing that's serious is you having a healthy experience and looking out for yourself, okay? Turn up, turn up. Yeah, February 15th, y'all, day after Valentine's
Yeah.
Day. Check out the podcast, Ned's Declassified Podcast Survival Guide. And you can follow me at Daniel_Curtis_Lee on Instagram. And you'll see all my other socials from there. But yeah, great talking with you.
Perfect. Thank you.